Welcome and happy Christmas, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone alike. It is your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the last chapter of Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Yona of the Dawn, chapter 218, the final chapter of 2021. And you know what? Not a bad chapter to go off on. Not a bad chapter to end on. We're getting one early in January, so that's really exciting to start off the new year with a bang. But, yeah, this is Akatsuki no Yona, chapter 218 review. Now, there's a few things. I think there's a few things we need to talk about. Number one, not to sound too dirty, but this is... This chapter, if you're a Hawk, which, let's be real, we're all Hawk fangirls at heart. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Let's just be honest. It's right here. Hawk sits in all of us right here in the chest. And if you're a fangirl of Hawk, which of course, why wouldn't you be? Then, like me, then this chapter is just. Hawk is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is wanking off Hawk to the 10th degree. And you know what the best part is? I don't mind one goddamn bit. This is a great chapter. I really enjoyed this chapter because we see perspective from different characters, and like we haven't focused on Jodo. Like, this chapter opens up properly because we've been so focused, of course, on our main cast and Soo-won and other people, right? But Jodo has been around during this entire event, and we haven't really seen his perspective in a while. And earlier in the year, we were seeing Ki-Sok's perspective and Min-So's perspective and stuff. But honestly, which is not a bad thing, we've been focused on the main cast. You know, Yona. If you include Soo-won, you have Hawk, Yona, Soo-won, and the dragons, and that's pretty much it. That's who you were focusing on for the last half of the year. So it's really nice to open up a chapter with a different character, a character that arguably a lot of people do like. And we like Jodo. I like Jodo. So, and the funny thing is the beginning of the chapter seems to open up seriously. And it is a serious situation, but it's Guantai is making fun of him. Guantai is making fun of him, being like, these are the elite troops of the Sky Tribe. This is how they serve the Royal Army. These are supposed to be the best. You know, the best unit in Koka has fallen, but under the Thunder Beast, when the Thunder Beast was here, he held out to the very end with just a dozen men. What is this? What is this sort of idea? And Jodo, of course, is just like, let me at him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to freaking kill him. I got my swords in my hand. I'm going to absolutely destroy him, right? So, he wants it. So Guantai has shown up on the battlefield, still injured, of course, and he's sort of in a makeshift bed sort of idea. He's all bandaged up, and we still see him. He's sweating and stuff, so he's still probably suffering the long-term effects of his injuries, fevers and that kind of shit, and he can't overexert himself. But he's here to, once again, have the morale. He's adding to the morale. Guantai might be down, but he's not out. He's here. He's even on the battlefield at the back of the line with us. You know what I mean? So he's here for the morale boost and stuff, and it does make sense, and it does work. Now, apparently, from what we didn't see, and I'm sort of glad they just jumped away from this, and I'm glad they just basically summed it up, that after the flood, the troops showed up by Jodo, we know that, but they barely kept South Kai Army at bay. They barely did it. They pushed them back, and they took some pretty hefty damage themselves. This is where, Guantai, as we see him sweating and stuff like that. So the thing is that he tells him to go back, and as I said, the morale boost and things like that, he can't just do that. And so this is where he says, also, Guantai feels obligated to try to help find the Thunder Beast. The Thunder Beast disappeared defending his tribe, his people. When he was down and out, the Thunder Beast stood his ground. The Thunder Beast stepped up, and as Guantai is not stupid, and I think to a level of regret, he regrets, once again, betraying someone with the heart and the loyalty and the honor of someone like the Thunder Beast. And once again, we saw this from Guantai and Mundok especially, but we saw this, of course, naturally, but we saw this from Guantai before. This fits well within his character. He had no qualms. It wasn't like the King Ale decision was based on his just looking at it straight and narrow. He wasn't looking at the affected people. you know. And he says, as someone who knew about and gave the okie dokie about, all right, if King Il goes, we'll vote for Soo-won, that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, he's like, not only did I like know about it and didn't do anything to stop the death of King Il, because I approved it basically, and I also swore my loyalty to Soo-won. As far as Hawk's concerned, every retainer that did that is an unloyal retainer that is completely untrustworthy and no better than the South Kai enemies that they're facing. However, the Thunder Beast not only protected me, but also protected my tribe, stood his ground, and now we need to find him. That man, we need to find that man. He does way more for us than we deserve coming from him. So, and he says, I owe him my tribe, I owe him my life, you know, sort of idea. And this is very suited to Guantai as his warrior's honor and pride as a character. It's very good to see. And he even says, and he knows about Awa now. I don't know when he supposedly found out. I forget that. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But now Guantai knows about Awa. And said, I heard that our own Princess Yona too was, in regards to the Awa situation, it was all her. So, and he calls himself out on it. He goes, I'm an unloyal retainer. Because I knew about the ill thing. I knew about the Soo-won thing, and I stood by. I let it happen. I could have opposed it. I knew about it, and I didn't do anything because of my own feelings towards ill and stuff like that, right? So he was just like, but at the end of the day, that doesn't make me not a dog. I'm still an unloyal retainer as far as they should be concerned. Yona is still the princess, regardless who is on the throne. Yona's still a princess, and we betrayed her. We are unloyal. And I was like, I love the aspect that this is going. I did not expect this from this chapter, and I just really like it. And he said, so if there's anything I can do for those two, if there's anything I can help with them, I would like to be able to do so. And I think in a small way, not only does Guantai, I think he wants to be the one to help find Hawk and lead every effort to do so, because if he can return Hawk to Yona, that will just ease his conscience just a little bit, you know? I think that's the case. I don't know what you guys think, but that's the way I'm looking at it as. It's sort of a double-edged. He won't say that that's making up for everything. Oh, well, you know, if I find Hawk for you, bam, everything's all peachy keen. No. He needs to find Hawk so he can do something for him, but also he needs to find Hawk as part. That's just a part of what he wants to do for them. So, Jodo recognizes this as well. Now, this is where a giant South Kai army does show up with apparently one of the strongest generals. It's a nice shot that there's overwhelming military might and their financial backing and stuff like that. The Kai Empire is definitely not weak in any stretch. So Jodo thinks about how, once again, this is where I'm saying, Guantai is talking about, I don't give a shit, I'm here to find Hawk. Hawk, the Thunder Beast. We owe the Thunder Beast. And Jodo, even here, and he says he's got an inferiority complex towards Hawk. And we've seen that throughout the series. So the fact that he's actually admitting it to himself when we get this monologue, I really, honestly, if nothing else, I sort of wish they had continued on from Jodo's perspective for the rest of the chapter, because I found it the most interesting part of the chapter, not going to lie. And I did like the fact that he thought about the time that, you know, Hawk just stood there with his glaive out, sort of idea, and he says, like, we have to wait for His Majesty's arrival with the real army and stuff, but this military force, what can I do? He goes, but if it were the Thunder Beast, would he have been stopped by these numbers? Would he have not held his ground? And he literally just did that, as Guantai mocked him at the beginning. Now push has come to shove, and Jodo is in the same situation. Hawk was holding off platoons with himself and a dozen men. The numbers were against him, and he just planted his feet and said, bring it on. And it's like, okay, we get it. Thunder Beast is the best, and Jodo admits it. He admits it. And he calls himself out for being a child about it, right? Now, Guantai even tells him we have to withdraw. We can't do anything rash. But he's questioning, what would Hawk do? And he doesn't want to feel inferior towards Hawk anymore. He doesn't want to feel like Hawk will make the self-sacrifice, the decision that, the harder decision, the path hardest to walk sort of idea. And Jodo feels like he's been, whenever push come to shove, the Thunder Beast always chooses with his heart, over everything else, with his pride, with his honor, with his, that kind of stuff. And Jodo, I guess, feels a little inferior to that, so he's just like, even Guantai says, withdraw. He's like, nah, I gotta buy you time and stuff. He's done being in the Thunder Beast's shadow, which is really cool. Not gonna lie, which is really cool, because we like Jodo, or at least I do, and of course we all love Hawk. There's not a single person that reads Akatsuki no Yona who does not love Hawk. It just, how do you not? Even if you don't read Yona, you love Hawk, right? So, you don't even know who Hawk is, but he's sitting right here. So, anyway, he goes on and he claims to go up against a General Kuryu, who is apparently the stepbrother of the current emperor or something. He's the mightiest, he's demon-like, he's devious, according to Mien Nien. We jump back to her and Yon talking a little bit about, like, okay, there's 8 generals, I was the weakest one, sort of idea, like, there's 8 generals of Kai, I was the weakest one. But, and there's General Val and Reverend and people that we actually have met, and we can summarize that they're probably not bad people. They're probably pretty good guys and stuff. But yes, apparently in South Kai there are the 8 great generals, sort of, the 4 riders of Dan and that kind of stuff, right? And or the 4 dragons of the Koka Kingdom, right? Those type of ideas. And so apparently this guy is the strongest. And he's apparently ruthless, and he's demon-like, and all that stuff. So, and he boasts the most amount of power. Now, Jodo comes straight out and asks for a one-on-one duel, which, you know what, is ironic, because it's the similar thing that friggin' that the other South Kai general did for Hawk. Basically, like the calling up for a duel. Now, everyone laughs and say, like, it's a joke and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but pretty much Jodo keeps a calm and cool head about it and basically says, like, I don't know who you are, so whatever you said, your words won't get under my skin, sort of idea. And just says, like, so a commander is going to laugh in the face of a challenge or a one-on-one duel? I mean, all right. I mean, if you want to boast you're so great, easy to do that with 100 men behind you and saying, I don't need to fight you. It's like, yeah. That looks really nice. So little old me scares you that much, He plays to that game. He plays to that game, and the troops even are like, insolent prick sort of idea, and they get all uppity. Now, this is where, once again, this Kuryu guy is definitely very evil. He definitely has that demonic. He's got that very not very nice attitude, shall we say, because he does say, fine. It's like, all right. This guy's got spunk. I will be your opponent. And we unfortunately don't get to see this duel. Maybe it'll happen later. We don't know. It's sort of setting up that way. But he wants to spark a little bit of fun. So he says that you'll replace the beacon of war and do things big. So he launches a catapult without warning at all the troops that gather behind Jodo. Even though he challenged them to a one-on-one duel, he's just going to strike at them anyway. The emissary, a convo, whatever you want to call it. Very dirty. You could argue it's war tactics and stuff, but this is one of those, we sent a messenger, the messenger was killed, at the gates before even listening, was shot down. That, that's dirty. That's dirty. You don't do that. Regardless if it's war or not, you don't do that. You're supposed to accept envoys and messengers and stuff like that, and you're supposed to, generally speaking, at the worst, you detain them. You do not kill them, or hang out their bodies outside on a spear, sort of, you know what I mean? And you can tell that this is one of those guys, right? Like what the brother was accused of, like Il's brother was accused of, the whole, and he sent the heads flying back into, and once again, I still don't see it. That was the biggest problem with the flashback arc, is that we never see the transformation of this guy from who we met in the flashback to this tyrant that's acting like this guy, who's using deplorable tactics, who's murdering. There is war. There is murder in war, regardless what people might say. There is murder in war, and for that, deplorable is the word I guess most describes it. And we're seeing those tactics applied here. Now, once again, the flashback never really gave us that, like the reasoning. Like, I still don't buy it. I think there's more to the story, but is what it is. Anyways, Or it's just bad writing on that part, I guess. Either way, so the rock gets fired. The big boulder out of the catapult or the trebuchet gets fired off into the air, and Jodo's like, run, everyone run. Guantai's shocked. Everyone's like, what? Like, what's going to happen? And of course, the evil South Kai general, who honestly you want to see his face get smushed in right now. This is where jae-ha shows up to save the day with his amazing dragon foot. Like, oh, here, you can have this back. Boom! And kicks it back over in midair and crushes their troops instead. And Jodo's happy for the intervention of the green dragon. Everybody's shocked by the appearance of the green dragon, even the general, and they're just like, that's not human. Could it be the 4 dragons? The 4 dragons are here? And it's like, yeah, damn right they are. One of the 4 dragons is here. And then we see the whole army has appeared. We see Shin-a. We see soo-won. We see Yona. We see, you know what I mean? I don't actually see Zeno. I was trying to find him, but I don't see if he's there or not. But I think he is. Actually, I think there's one panel where we do see him. So Zeno is there as well. So the 4 dragons have arrived along with, which makes sense. I just thought that maybe he was in the back or something. But no, he's there with Kija and Shin-a and everybody else. The big royal army arrives. A lot of nice double spreads this chapter. A lot of double spreads right before the end of the year. So that's really nice. And, so Jodo bought just enough time for Soo-won's army to show up. And they made it just in time sort of idea. Now, of course, stopping that boulder in midair and then kicking it back with that much force actually ruined his foot, his boot, and Jodo is able to see his foot. And, of course, we know that jae-ha does not like that. So he goes, no peeking. You have to buy me a new pair of boots, though, for saving your ass. Bye. Yona looks on heavy. Shin-a is searching with his eyes. Like, where are you? We need to find Hawk. Now, this is where the Horn of Gondor is fucking launched, and Hawk can hear it. So they're not that far away. If that horn can be heard right now. So Hawk rushes out of bed at the end of the chapter. He can hear the horns of the Koka army, and he tries to get away, of course. Now, the young lady, or the woman that is pretending to be Hawk's wife is basically like, yeah, no, you can't do that. Like, you have to understand, did you not see all those troops out there? You try to go out there right now in any condition, you're going to be killed. You're going to be killed before you can cross the line, before you can get past the army. It's just not going to happen. What are you thinking? You saw how many troops were out there last night. Like, what are you thinking? So Hawk just gets down, bows his head, and says, I really have to go. I'm very sorry. I owe you a lot. Thank you very much for helping me and saving me, but I do need to go. I appreciate all your help. Now, the woman asks about, of course, the senjutsu, the white pouch and stuff. Hawk does not answer, but then says, you know what, I went as far to even call you my husband. And this is where actually a comedic moment here at the very last page of the chapter. Hits him on the head with a spoon. He's like, oh, yeah, no, sorry, I can't be your husband. He's like, that's not what I meant. We're not really going to get married, you dolt. He said, I never said we're actually going to get married. I pretended to be your wife to save you. You could show a little more gratitude, you rude person. And said, now, I'm under the impression that this woman is in her late 20s. It's hard to tell with certain art styles and stuff, but I have this feeling that she's definitely older than Hawk. And I think that I actually really like her design. It's simplistic, but I like it. But I've got this vibe from her that she's in her late 20s. I really do. I don't think she's like 20, 21 or something. I think she's like 28, 29 at least. I really get this feeling of a woman wise beyond her years look, just in her expressions and how she's drawn and stuff, but also just the way she's holding herself and stuff like that, the way she's, smacking him with the spoon and stuff like that, the wooden spoon. I get this, of course, like, motherly vibe, because she does clearly have a child and stuff like that. So I'm thinking late 20s. I really am. I'm not sure, but, and I forget if we got a name for this one. We probably didn't. I'm forgetting it, but, either way, I really like this. I hope this dynamic continues. Some people are saying this might be Hawk's actual family. He might be from South Kai. That's why she saved him, that kind of idea. Honestly, that's a little bit of a stretch out of all the gin joints in all the world, walked into mine sort of idea. It's just a little bit of a stretch of a premise this far into the story. It'd be too cliche. I think it'd be too... So not that theory's bad. Maybe these people are related to Hawk's. Maybe Hawk is actually her brother-in-law or something. She was married to Hawk's brother that he never knew he had. Who knows, right? Who knows? But I think it's a bit of a weak theory right now. I don't think we have enough evidence to suggest anything else, and it'd be a little cliche and, as I said, of all the gin joints of all the world, right? Sort of idea. So a little too coincidental, if nothing else. But I do like the fact that she just basically stands to her morals and says, the reason I help you regardless that you're an enemy is I just don't want to go out of my way to kill somebody. So letting you die in front of me is basically, she's going to go on that line. It's basically like, because she wasn't going to be the one to kill him, but he was injured, she was going to watch him get killed, and in her mind, it's sort of like standing by and watching someone get killed is almost as bad as just doing the deed yourself. So she's very abhors killing. I assume her husband or the father of her child there died in war, or died to something like that, or she's got her own circumstances and stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these circumstances are. We are getting, as I said, at the beginning of the year, the first week of the year, apparently January 3rd or 4th, we're supposed to get the next chapter. So the new week of 2022, we're getting a new chapter of Yona. So that's not that far away, and I'm really excited because this chapter was really good. Great way to end off the year. We've got all these double-page spreads. The army has arrived. The 4 dragons are there. Hawk's not that far from the battlefield. To be able to hear those horns, he can't be more than a few miles, I would argue. So he probably could make it there. Of course, he's got to get between... He's one man behind enemy lines trying to get back, but still, they are there, and I just think that this, Jodo is there, Guantai is there, like, the Royal Army's there, everybody's there, everything's going to come to a head, so I think 2022 is actually going to be far better for Yona than 2021 was, or 2020 was. I think that we're finally past what I would argue the worst part of Yona. I think we're finally past all that stuff. I think we can move forward, and I think that we've got some cool plot lines here with the war starting. So yeah, but you guys let me know what you guys think. I'm always happy to hear. So tell me down in the comment section down below. Happy Christmas to everyone who celebrates this, of course. It's the holiday season. It's the last chapter review before Christmas and before 2022. So if I don't see you before then, of course there will be videos after this one before the new year. But either way, if you're a Yona of the Dawn only viewer, then happy Christmas, happy New Year if we don't see you. And like, comment, subscribe. Fourth and most importantly, drink responsibly, but always, especially in this holiday season of cheer and merriment. And make sure everybody stays safe. I know the holidays, regardless how you celebrate, around this time of year, there's gatherings and parties and stuff, but try to limit that as best you can. I know not there's different rules in different countries and different places and stuff like that, but everyone, if we could just try to get through this thing together, maybe by next Christmas, maybe it'll be a totally different story and there will be no restrictions or limitations. So, if we just be patient, you got to be patient with these things. And that's my only advice, other than, once again, happy Christmas to everyone, Merry Christmas to everyone, and we'll see you back here next time. Drink responsibly as always. See ya in the new year.